Go next section. I'm going to do the lights and reflectors at the end. Got it? Let's try to do it in 90 seconds. Engine compartment area. I'm going to start at the top of the list. Oil level. You don't have to get dirty, but you do need to point or touch to the items. I check here the dipstick. Check to see that, make sure I have oil level. It's above the refill line. Coolant level, that's on the other side. We'll get there. Power steering on the other side. Water pump on this side. Right here. Make sure it's not cracked, damaged, leaking, mounted securely, no loose, missing bolts, no leaking water. And it's, I still say that's gear driven. But they're not asking you anyway. Alternator belt and alternator. This is belt driven. Right here, check the belts. No cracks or frays, no more than 3/4 inch play in the center of the belt. The alternator connections are tight, no cracked wires, damaged, mounted securely, not dented, cracked rather. And it's, I said, it's belt driven. Air compressor on the other side. Leaks and hoses. Check this whole side here for any dripping fluids in the engine compartment area, puddles on the ground. All hoses, they're all coupled securely, not cracked, fried, dry, rotted, leaking air or liquid. Come on the other side. Oil level, coolant level. Here it is. Check to see. Make sure you have visible coolant, okay? Not cracked, damaged, leaking, secure the vehicle. Power steering. Power steering. It's gear driven. This power steering fluid here, check to make sure it's above the refill line, not cracked, damaged, secure, no leaking hoses, and it's gear driven. I said that. Fluid level above the refill line, and it's gear driven. Air compressor, that's right back there. Check to see mounted securely, not cracked, damaged, leaking any air, no loose and missing bolts. Oh, and it is gear driven. See how I get reminded here? Because you have to read this. Get your face over here and read this and cross it off as you go down the list. On this side, leaks and hoses. Check this side for any leaks, dripping fluids in the engine compartment area. Check all the hoses. They're all coupled securely, not cracked, frayed, dry, rotted, leaking. Leaks, hoses, done. Steering gearbox, that's right here. No loose and missing bolts, secure the vehicle, not cracked, damaged, not leaking any fluid. Hoses, they're coupled securely, not cracked, free, dry, rotted, leaking. Steering link and steering shaft, pitman arm, drag link, the upper and lower control arms and the tie rod, which hold both wheels together. Check to see that it's all secure, nothing's loose, worn, cracked. You got castle nuts and cotter keys on all connecting joints there. Check to see that they're not loose, missing, damaged. Tires, gonna check the tire for inflation with an air pressure gauge. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts. Tread depth no less than 4/32 of an inch. And check the rim. No bent or damaged, cracked rims. Cannot have any repair welds. Check the lug nuts. They're all there. No signs of looseness such as rusty trails, shiny exposed threads. Axle seal. It's not leaking anywhere and it's at adequate fluid level. Not leaking on the inside either. Springs. Check the springs. No shifted, cracked, broken, loose, missing leaf springs. You have a shock absorber right here. Mounted securely, both top and the bottom, not cracked, damaged, leaking. U-bolts in the center of the spring here. They're not loose, missing, or cracked. Spring mounts. There's a front mount, center mount, which is a U-bolt, which I said, and the rear mount. Check all mounts. No cracked metal anywhere. Check for loose and missing bolts. Everything's secure. Check the brake hoses right here. Not loose, cracked, damaged, leaking any air, secure. Couplings. Brake chamber. That holds air also. Make sure that's not leaking any air. It's secure to the vehicle, not dented, damaged, cracked, loose, missing bolts. Slack adjuster and the push rod. When you check the slack adjuster right here, look for no loose, missing parts. When the brakes are released, you should be able to pull that no more than 1 inch and see that push rod no more than 1 inch. The other way you can check it, when the brakes are set. When the brakes are set, the angle of the push rod and the slack adjuster should be approximately 90. When they're released, it should be a little bit more than 90. Let's see, what else we got here on this list? Drums. On the inside of this wheel, there's drums. It's made of metal, so you're looking for cracks or damaged drums like that. And you got linings inside the drum. They're not worn dangerously thin, and there's no grease or oil inside. Okay, stop. Set it off. Once again, I'm going to do the lights and reflectors at the end. Here I go. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here I am. Yeah, that's right. Check the door. See that it opens and closes from the outside. The seals are intact and the hinges, they're not damaged. Gonna check the mirror from the outside. Check to see that the bolts are there, nothing's loose, cracked, or damaged. Looks good. Check the fuel tank, checking for caps and leaks. Most of all, the most important thing, it's not leaking anywhere. That includes the fuel cap and the straps and everything. Everything's secure, not dented, damaged, cracked. The hoses, excuse me, they're not leaking either. Catwalk and steps. Check to see that the steps are secure, they're not loose or missing or damaged. Same here, check the steps, not loose, missing, or damaged. You got a catwalk. Check to see that it's secure to the vehicle so it doesn't fall on the road, and there's no obstructions on there. Drive shaft. You got to check all sections of your drive shaft. Make sure there's no debris wrapped around there. It's made of metal, so you're looking for cracks put together by bolts and everything. So you look for loose and missing bolts. Lights, reflectors, drive shaft, exhaust system, the complete length of the exhaust system. Check to see that it's secure and not going to fall off, right? And most of all, you don't have any leaks. And an indication of a leak might be like a soot trail or something like that. The frame, the complete length of the frame of the tractor and all its cross members. It's all made of metal, put together by bolts. So you're looking for cracked metal, shiny spots, let's see, loose or missing bolts. No crack. And it's not damaged, secure. Rear wheels, they're referencing this first axle. You stay with one axle, all right? Don't jump from one to the other. Tires, gonna check the tires. Check to see that they're properly inflated. You do that with an air pressure gauge. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts. Tread depth no less than 2/32 of an inch. Rim, check both rims. Make sure they're not dented, damaged, cracked, and not repaired. Lug nuts. They're all present, no signs of looseness such as rusty trails, shiny exposed threads, they're all secure there. Axle seal, check the axle seal not leaking anywhere, both on the outside here and the other side. And if you can't check the level, check the level. Spacers, these are buds. These are not spacers, these are bud spacers. I want to check to see that there's no debris inside there. It's got a good seal and not damaged. Good connection, tight, secure. Let's see. Rear suspension. Very difficult to see, but you better stand over here because this is the best look. You guys ain't going to be able to see it. Anyway, so check the springs. Is that my first thing here? I'm blind.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, springs. Check the springs. They're not shifted, cracked, broken, damaged, loosed. Airbags. There's an airbag on the opposite side here. Check to see, most of all, it's not leaking. See, that's secure at the top and the bottom. No loose or missing bolts. You have a shock absorber right there, not leaking. Mounted securely both top and bottom, not damaged. U-bolts, which are in the center of the axle, right here, sitting right on the axle with the springs. Check to see that the U-bolts are not loose, missing, nothing's cracked or damaged. Loose or missing. Spring mounts, that's the front mount. Front mount here, which is a hanger. Check the bolts are all secure, no loose metal, cracks, damage. Check it all the way back here, which is the back side here. That's the back mount. Check to see that no loose and missing bolts, no cracked metal. And a torque bar, torque arm. That's up underneath the spring here. That's this item I got grabbed here. That's a torque arm, torque bar, torque rod, whatever you want to call it. But get your fingers to it and touch it if you need to. Made of metal, put together by bolts. Okay, you want to see that secure, no loose and missing bolts, no cracked metal. Brake hoses, even more difficult to see here. Brake hoses, there's a chamber. On the top side, there's the brake hoses. Check to see that they're coupled securely, not cracked, frayed, dry, rotted, leaking any air. The chamber itself, not dented, damaged, cracked, leaking any air, secure to the vehicle. Back side of the chamber is a slack adjuster. Check to see that there's no loose and missing parts. And when the brakes are released, pull the push rod, pull that out no more than 1 inch. Another way to check it, see that it's set at a 90-degree angle when the brakes are set. When it's released, they open up more, just a little bit more than a 90-degree angle. And then you have drums on the inside of this wheel. They're not bent, damaged, or cracked. Inside that drum, there's linings. Check to see that they're not worn dangerously thin. No contaminants such as grease or oil. Chamber did it. Slack adjuster, talked about the push rod, drums, and linings. Rear of the vehicle, splash guards. Check the splash guards, see it's not loose, missing, or damaged. I would check that axle the same way I would this axle here. This whole axle, it's identical. I say again, I'm going to do the lights and reflectors at the end. Cut. right here. See, that's a shorter one.
Mm-hmm.
You go back there, you see they're double the size.
Yeah.
Okay. These chambers don't get set when the brakes are set. Okay, watch my hand here. Let's see if I can pull this out. Watch. See, I got movement. You go in the back there, you're not going to pull on those.
Right.
You go up underneath here, those bigger chambers, you're not pulling on those. Because when you release the
So that's why I
brakes-
say no more than an
release.
inch.
I meant when you set the brakes, those brakes get set. This doesn't. Even when you lose all your air. The only way that this one can be serviced, stay right there, watch it. Watch this.
Yeah.
Okay. These don't get set in an emergency. You can use it on your service brake. Reason being because if you did lose control, you still want to have the ability to steer. Because if these get locked up, you're real screwed.
You're going
So
down
that's
to
the
you.
design. That's the design of that. So understand that the smaller ones, they don't get set. The big ones do. You won't be able to move that big one. Yeah, it's not happening. Questions about what I did here so far?
No.
Okay, move on. I'm crossing off as I go along. You can check both of these all at once together. That's what I'm going to do. Check the tractor side and the semi-trailer side here. First thing, I'm going to check the air and electrical connection lines here. I'm going to check this side, check to see that the electrical connection is firmly seated and locked in place. No bare wires, it's not sitting on the catwalk. The air lines here, they're coupled securely, not cracked, frayed, dry rotted, not sitting on the catwalk here. Same thing on this side. The electrical connection firmly seated and locked in place. No bare wires, not sitting on the catwalk. The glad hands, they're locked in place. They're not leaking any air. No chafed hoses, not sitting on the catwalk. I just did both sides all at once. Did that and that. Coupling system. Check the mounting bolts, just like any other bolt. Nuts and bolts. Check to see that all those bolts there for this whole system here, none of them are loose and none of them are missing. Got it? Platform. It's what the fifth wheel skid plate sits on. It's made of metal. Check to see if you got any cracks or breaks in the platform. Locking jaws. Locking jaws. I'm going to check the locking jaws. Check to see that the locking jaws are locked around the kingpin. I'm moving real fast here, folks. There is no lever. Release arm. Release arm right there. Make sure it's engaged in a locked position. And there's a safety latch on top there. Make sure that's in place and locked in place. Safety latch. The fifth wheel skid plate is properly greased, not cracked or braked. And the sliding fifth wheel pins, here's one right here on this side. That's the square one. Check to see that that's locked in place. And the sliding fifth wheel is in a position that during turns, the frame of this tractor does not hit the landing gear. Going to check the rest of the coupling system. Inside the locking jaws, you have a kingpin. Inspect to make sure it's not bent. The underside, check the apron, not cracked or distorted. And there's no gap between the fifth wheel and the apron. Sitting right on top of that. Done. Trailer front. They got this wrong here. Anyways. Check the trailer front, make sure there's no cracks, bulges, or holes. It's structurally sound, lights and reflectors. Landing gear. Check to see that the landing gear is fully raised. Crank handle is put away. No loose and missing bolts, cracks in metal, or anything is secured to the vehicle. Lights, reflectors. Frame. The complete length of the frame, both the bottom and the top, is structurally sound, no cracks, damage. It's secure. You got cross members up underneath, all over there, all the way back. Check to see that all the cross members are there and none of them are loose and going to fall off from the ground. And check the wooden floor. Make sure there's no holes in the floor. Tandem release arm. You have a tandem release arm. Make sure it's engaged in a locked position and the locking pins are in the holes. There's the other one. Okay. Check to see that the pins are in the holes. They're secure to get on the road. Lights and
I
reflectors.
didn't know it was two.
I'm going to check this tire. Check to see there's not no abrasions, bulges, or cuts. Tread depth no less than 2/32 of an inch. Also check to see that you have proper inflation with an air pressure gauge. Rims. No bent or damaged rims. They cannot have any repair wells. Check the lug nuts. They're all present. No signs of looseness such as rusty trails, shiny exposed threads. Axle seal right here. It's not leaking, and you look for an adequate fluid level.
Want this, Dave?
Yeah, I'm done now.
Yeah.
I just thought of it.
Spacers. This is a spacer. Everybody see this rippling thing here? That is a metal ring. It spaces the rims across from each other or separate from each other, but then the bolts and everything keeps it tight. You want to make sure that metal is not cracked, damaged, misseated, and there's no debris in between there. Spacers. Springs. I have my springs here. Check the springs. No shifted, cracked, broken, loose, missing leaf springs. Where are my springs? Shocks. Do I have shocks?
No.
Probably not.
Not on the rear.
Only inspect the vehicle as it is. U-bolts and spring mounts. So I'll check all mounts. Front mount here, center mount back there with U-bolts, and the rear mount, which is right here. Check to see the mounts are secure, no loose or missing bolts, no cracked metal, nothing's damaged. U-bolts back there are tight, they're not loose or missing, cracked or damaged. You have a torque arm right here. Check to see that it's not loose, missing, damaged, dented, cracked. No loose or missing bolts. That's arm, torque arm, rod mounts. All three mounts. You have three mounts always: a front, a center, and a rear mount of every axle. Got that? Inspect them. Brake hoses. There's a chamber on the top there. It's got a brake hose. Check to see no loose or missing. Excuse me. Check to see that the hose is coupled securely, not cracked, free, dry, rotted, leaking. The chamber itself, not dented, damaged, cracked, not leaking any air. Gonna check the slack adjuster and the push rod. On the back side of that chamber, which is right there, there's a slack adjuster. Check to see that there's no loose and missing parts. And when the brakes are released, pull that slack adjuster by hand no more than 1 inch. You see no more than 1 inch of push rod there. And of course, if it's set, as you see right now, they're set at a 90-degree angle. And when the brakes are released, they open up a little bit more than a 90. Slack adjusters, push rod, drums and linings. And on the inside of this inside wheel, check the drums, not bent, damaged, or cracked. Linings inside the drum, not worn, dangerously thin, no contaminants such as grease or oil. I would inspect this axle the same way I just inspected that one. Check the mud flap, not loose, missing, torn, or damaged. It's operational. You have a door tie here that you need to inspect to see that it's working, functioning properly. And check also on the doors themselves. Check to see that they can hook up. That's a door tie. And check the splash guards I did. And the doors themselves. Check to see that they're secure, both the bottom and the top. They latch properly, secure. Check for the hinges also. See that there are no loose missing bolts, not going to fall off on the road. And then I would inspect this side of the vehicle the same way I just got done inspecting that one. Cut. Don't set it for language on there. I write down 7 so I don't miss anything. Okay. So, I'm going to go check the lights. What I'm going to do, just close the door. Did here. Okay, so now I'm going to check all my lights. You going to be able to keep up with me?
Yep.
Okay. So when I check all my lights, the most important thing, 2 most key words, they all got to be working and they all got to be clean. That's the purpose of a light. Got it? So get those 2 words out and cross. All right, so when I check my lights, I want to make sure that they're all clean and they're all working. None of them are damaged, which is the opposite of not working, right? I don't get this. Okay, so red all to the rear, amber elsewhere. Got that? So when I want to check my headlights first of all. That's the high beams. They're working. Stay. Low beams, you need one to get fixed. Low beams, working. Done. I'm done with the headlights. In the front here, I have clearance lights and my 4-ways. They're working. Nice and warm. Working. That's not working. I got a 4-way and clearance. That's working. My reflective tape, not peeling, missing, dirty, or damaged. I have tail lights. They're working. And I have 4-ways. They're working. There's a 4-way and clearance light working. Rest of my reflective tape. Clearance light working. In the back here, I have tail lights, they're working. 4-ways, they're working. Reflective tape, not peeling, missing, dirty, or damaged. My clearance lights, those are working. Clearance light working. Rest of my reflective tape down on this side. Not tailing, missing, dirty, damage. I got a 4-way and clearance light working. Up and down, did it. Clearance light needs to get fixed. There's the 4-way and clearance working. Done. Come over here, ready? So I have walked around this vehicle once. I have checked all 3 sides for the clearance, all 4 sides for the clearance lights. I have checked all 4 sides for the 4-ways, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have checked the tail lights on the tractor and the trailer, and all 3 sides of the reflectors. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items. I'm done. Now I just do the left, right, and the brake. Done. So. Check my left turn signal. Working. Not working. 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 Working and clean. Clean and working. Then, check the right side. Now you're going to have to ask the examiner for help for the brake lights. Don't stay back there. Go up in the cab. You're going to have to step on it. You hear what I said about the brake lights? Ah. Go ahead and step on the service brake.
Huh? I'm recording.
Yeah.
Alright. Service brake. Step on it. Step on it.
He is.
No, don't pump. Just step. Alright. Yep. See they're working? Alright. They're done. They're clean and working.
Yeah.
That's it.